Yo, what up? It's Red Zone Rants. I'm in.
I'm Dev. Welcome back, brother.
Yes, sir. Episode 5, man. How you doing today?
Doing pretty good, man. Matt Canada's still the coordinator, so I'm doing as good as I can be for sure.
Hey, man. He's still the coordinator, and Burrow's cast still 50%. So we still got plans, man. But hey, speaking of that, you called it, man. I want to give a shout out to that boy, Dev, man. You called it. It was your biggest loser last week for playing Burrow. It looks good on the follow up because we're still losing, and he's not 100%. So it's kind of like, you're kind of wasting. You could be getting healthy. You're wasting time. So
They
big
are
shout.
wasting recovery time for sure. He could be sitting and getting healthy while they're losing these games
Nah,
and then
fact.
come back and start winning, but hey.
In my head, that's how I'm thinking. Because I'm thinking if we go 2-2, it kind of shuts that narrative down. Because it looks like the fact that we lost though, bro could have easily got his healthy.
Yeah.
But we're not here to dedicate that show about the one time Dev's been right in his life. We're not here to, So I'm gonna dive right into my top four NFC teams, and I'm gonna start four Seattle Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
What they,
Okay.
Smith is once again impersonating a baller. That boy's been in his Duffy. Tyler Lockett somehow doesn't age.
Nah.
Like it seems like he goes for a
He
thousand.
he kind of gave away the remedy to that. He said that the key to that is just catches the ball and he goes down. He don't take hits.
Bro, I've never seen him get hit. Like it's an
I've
immediate.
never, man, he catches the ball and goes to the ground every time.
Yo, I respect it because you know how hard it is for you to never get yak yards, but like you steady get it. So, but it's not just them, man. I mean, Devin Witherspoon, the rookie,
Yeah,
Red Zone Rants, RZ_Rants, our Twitter page. We posted it first. Devin Witherspoon has been balling
oh,
whole
for
rookie
sure.
week. Monday Night Football, he followed up. He had 2 sacks, 6 tackles, and a pick six that really won the game in the third quarter at the bottom of it. You still got Tyreek Woolen, who's still young. I forgot Jamal Adams even played, but man, I mean, he got hurt, I think, first drive of the game. But the
Yeah,
fact that he's still on the defense and he'll be healthy and ready to go in about a week or two. Bobby Wagner, I mean, DK Metcalf. The team is a lot better than what a lot of people think. They lost the game they shouldn't have earlier in the season, but I also seen them beat a very good Lions team who could make this list. So my fourth team is Seattle. Big shout out to them. Number three, I'm gonna go with Dallas. I've been edging this because they got a matchup with San Fran, so this is very fluent.
oh, for
Depending
sure.
on who's that game, obviously might be the that gives away my second, but might be the flip flop. But Micah Parsons, obviously is going to be top five defensive player, in the league. You still got Stephon Gilmore, and it seemed like they woke up after losing to the Arizona Cardinals. So I
Oh,
got
for sure.
not faith in Dak Prescott or Mike McCarthy, but I got faith in the Dallas defense to, really step in. They're got a top three unit in the league. So,
Yeah, that defense is crazy.
oh man, it's ignorant, bro. Like even without Diggs, they I forget the other corner's name. They got a guy who's in his second year, and he actually leads the league in takeaways since he's been in the league. He's got 8 interceptions since 2022. It'll come to my head think about it, but man, they're just loaded with talent that I never even knew that they had. They got to go wherever Dak goes, unfortunately. And that is why my number two team is the San Francisco 49ers. I worry less with Brock Purdy than, I guess, Dak Prescott, which is weird because it's a small sample size, but Dak's sample size is so large where I can't give him the benefit of the doubt to lead a team with a great defense and for him to game manage. Brock Purdy seems like the perfect game manager. I mean, he's a risky QB at the same time, but he's also in his year two on
Yeah.
I think on 12 starts. So I think as over time, the more he manages, and he doesn't throw INTs, so the more he manages that, he's only going to get better. They still got an all pro on every level of the defense, with Nick Bosa. I mean, the guys are just loaded. Not even to mention Debo Samuels and George Kittle and maybe the next non QB MVP since Adrian Peterson. Like yeah, I know that's your
And
boy,
CMC is bad, man.
man. Dangerous news, man. He runs routes like a receiver. I think he averages 5.2 yards a carry. I mean, Kyle Shanahan getting Christian McCaffrey was almost like putting the sliders up, man. I mean,
Oh, for
he,
sure.
every game he's played in 18 games so far. He's got 2,200 total yards. I mean, that's That's crazy. In 18,
He's on pace this year for 2,500 yards and 26 touchdowns. That's crazy.
that's ridiculous. That's like I was telling people. That's what separates him from backs like Nick Chubb and Derrick Henry. He does it all. Like you
Oh
can
yeah.
stop him for 25 yards and the guy's still gonna get you 7 catches for 70 yards. It's very
He
rare to see.
reminds me he reminds me of a prime Le'Veon Bell, but he scores touchdowns at a much higher rate than Le'Veon Bell ever did, and that's but as far as like the all around can do it all, run a full route tree, he does it
Fact.
all. Special talent.
He, I mean, I'll give you this. Bell's probably a little bit better in between the tackles, to be honest, a little bit more patient. But yeah, I mean, that's a good comparison. Bell's a little bit bigger, but I definitely agree with that. In my last team, I feel like it's the obvious the 4-0 Eagles. I feel like they don't really, for whatever reason, I don't think they play the best comp to start out the season. So, toodles to the schedule makers that are Eagle fans that give them some light games for division. But I can't disrespect the 4-0 record, and they did win the NFC last year. Jalen Hurts is back off to a decent start. I mean, the defense is loaded. I can't really say anything about the Eagles right now. My cousins are Eagle fans too, so sometimes I'm wanting to hate, but they got all the right to be glorified. I can see them repeating again right now. I don't see any team in the NFC that's better still top to bottom than the Philadelphia Eagles right now. So those are my top four. What you got, Dev? What you think about those, man?
uh, I my top four. I got the Detroit Lions sneaking into my top four in the NFC at number four. They're 3-1. Uh, and they were able to hang with the Chiefs like they did. They beat the Chiefs.
Yeah,
That offense, I think, is only continuing to gel. This week they get back Jameis Williamson after his ACL last year and his gambling ban.
Mr.
He's an electric speedster that they can add to that offense. If they get the ball to Jahmyr Gibbs a little bit more, I don't know why you draft a running back at number 8 and don't give him the ball, but
Worst
he's
mistake.
talented. That team is talented, and I think they're getting better week in and week out. They're starting to gel a little bit more. And Jared Goff isn't necessarily somebody that I trust a whole lot, but with weapons around him, I think he'd be all right.
He's related to like Kirk Cousins to me. Like he's a better, but they're like, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They like
Yeah,
they
he's not a guy that I trust to win a game, but with the right pieces around him, I think he can pull anything off. So,
no
uh,
real, real.
number 3, I got the Cowboys as well. Kind of based off of Dak as well, because that defense is
Oh,
scary. It's hard to. I've seen so much of Dak, bro, in the biggest moments in these playoff games and against really tough teams, and
the
he's
card.
had weapons. He's always had weapons to throw to. It's never really been a lack thereof over in Dallas. Um, but right now, as it stands, he's just playing October and September, November type games. It's not really
Oh,
January. So right
immaculate.
now he's balling out right now. So
Oh, that's what Dak does. He's great through September. Before November, Dak could go crazy. Around that
oh for
Thanksgiving,
sure.
there's a there's
Yeah.
a there's a
Yeah.
reason he flips.
Hey, it's like he eats a little bit too much on Thanksgiving and then he kind of flips the switch, like you said. But that defense is crazy. If that can play okay, you know, later in the season, then that defense might be able to do the rest. But my
Now,
number 2 team, I have the same teams, but I flip mine. The Eagles are my number 2 team. Um, I just think as far as overall top to bottom, I actually think the 49ers are better. The only thing, the offensive line is neck and neck between the two teams, I believe.
I agree.
The defense, the Eagles' defense is really good, but I don't know, it's something about that Fred Warner, that Nick Bosa, that Tufunga, or however you say his last name, that's knocking heads off week in and week out. That defense is solid. That offense is loaded with talent. They got Elijah Mitchell, who I think is a solid running back,
Yes,
who's you
he's
don't
an
even
art.
hear of because he's getting Christian McCaffrey in front of him, who's scoring every freaking game. They got Debo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk is a dog. that offensive line. Brock Purdy is the only asterisk. I'm not the biggest fan of Brock Purdy, but he's doing everything he needs to do, more or less, to win these games. So 2 Eagles, 1 49ers. I think the 49ers right now are the team to beat in the league, let alone the NFC.
So you're gonna make in the so one. My only issue is one. I had Seattle over Detroit, and Seattle beat Detroit. So I mean,
They did.
I understand that pick itself. Two, you said they're like better at every position, but I mean, Philly has Jalen Hurts, who was like one game.
Besides quarterback, that's Brock Purdy. I do not trust a guy like Brock Purdy, but like I said, he's doing everything he needs to do. He's got 0 interceptions on the stat sheet. Eye test, probably he's got a few of them, but he has not thrown the ball to the other team and they've caught it. So he's protecting the ball pretty well. He's got a really easy job, so I'm not really factoring in quarterback because Jalen Hurts, I think, is leagues ahead of a guy like Brock Purdy, but
But here,
like leagues ahead. Like it's
I
not
feel
even
like
close. But like
other than the running back position, is there another position that's strongly
wide
just
receiver,
that's debatable?
tight end,
That's not debatable. Wide receiver is very debatable. That's debatable.
uh, Brandon Ayuk and Debo Samuel is very debatable. I think
I don't
they're no
AJ Brown.
worse than on the same level.
I say they're on the same, but slightly. AJ Brown is that guy. I'm not saying Debo
He
ain't,
is. I think
but
A.J. Brown is better than the two 49ers, but I think both of the
yeah.
49ers players are better than Devontae Smith. I
the
think Brandon Ayuk might even be the best wide receiver on the 49ers. He might even be better than Debo.
that's an unpopular opinion that I might see where you're coming from because Debo is a very yak like receiver, if it makes
Yeah.
sense. A lot of his yards,
I think Brandon Ayuk runs better and more crisp
yeah.
routes, and he's faster. He can jump just as good, if not better. But Debo's like a tank, bro. He'll catch it and he'll run somebody over. He'll stiff arm. He'll do whatever else. But yeah, I think AJ Brown, he's a dog. I think Ayuk and Debo are better than Devontae Smith, though.
I mean, if you want to add Kittle, I might give that to you on the receiving game, but
Kittle is
they've
tough.
unstoppable play like I've probably ever seen. Like
Who?
the Eagles, like the
Oh,
tush.
yeah, that tush push. What are they
They
calling? They calling it the brotherly
bro,
shove.
Jalen Hurts on that play is like 12 of 12, like in his life.
Yeah,
Like he's never like
and
ooh,
and
messed.
people are talking about ban that play and shit, but teams tried it this week and
Bro,
it
it
didn't work.
hit it.
It
It's
didn't work. So Jalen Hurts, I think I saw somewhere he squats like 600 pounds,
oh no,
uh,
he's something crazy in the weight room.
and then that offensive line, it's always lowest man wins, and they get low and they push, and I don't know a recipe to stop it unless you got somebody like Palomalu flying over the top. But
Yeah,
I don't know. That play is pretty unstoppable when they run it.
and it seems like they get 4th and 1s every possession. like like 3 times. Like I'll be like, bro, come
They're
on,
doing that play at least 3-4 times a game, it feels like.
bro. Has Madden put that? I hope they don't put that in. Like,
Nah, that shit would be fuck that. If somebody come out playing as the Eagles, I ain't playing that shit.
man, I'm not playing that shit at all, and I'm spamming your gamer tag. I'm reporting you. No, but another topic, man. Give me your top 5 QBs, man.
This was a tough one because I didn't want to go. I wanted to base it off of the first 4 games, so it's very um, like recency bias almost. Like I'm not factoring in like names. I'm factoring in what I've seen so far this year.
Okay,
Uh,
I agree.
Number one so far this year, Tua.
What, bro?
Boy, psych. You thought I had Tua at my number one quarterback? I knew that, man. Come on, man.
Bro, I'm
Josh
just,
Allen. Josh
I'm,
Allen's been my number one quarterback so far. I think he's balling out. He had that one game opening night where he had 3 interceptions. He's only had one since. He's got 9 touchdowns. He's got over 1,000 yards. He's completing like something like 75% of his passes. He's got like 106 quarterback or passer rating. So he's balling out. That's my number one quarterback in the league right now.
That's not bad off. It's definitely a different direction, but that's not bad off. He's definitely bounced back from the terrible, terrible, terrible week 1 performance that I somehow don't know how they're not undefeated without beating Zach Wilson. But to those,
What's crazy is I honestly don't feel like that's the last game like that he's going to have this year either. Josh Allen has those random. I said this before the season even started. He'll have like a stretch where he looks like the best player in the world, and then all of a sudden he plays a team like the Jets who's missing their star quarterback, and it's like he looks like Zach Wilson. He 3 interceptions that game. I think he had a couple of fumbles or something too. It's like he'll just go in these random slumps where it's like he looks like he shouldn't even be on the field at all.
it's like he trusts his arm too much. Like,
Too much. Too
like,
much.
but
Who's your number one?
um, I went with the obvious. Patrick Mahomes, 8 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1,006 yards. He's still top 3 in the league. He's still got a top 5 QBR. And the thing that's different this year is those guys. No disrespect. Those guys are booty. Like straight. Like,
All
bro,
disrespect.
KT. I don't even know how he's on a roster after week 1. And like they was
Mm-mm.
like bounce back after. So I looked at the game field. Bro had like 40 yards, like 4 catches. I'm like, that bounce back is not strong at all. So like that, it just Sky Moore. He like
Bounce back.
somehow manages to be great.
Yeah.
I say this as a Bengal fan because it pains me. He manages to be great no matter what. Like, I mean, he loses Tyreek Hill and then sprains an ankle and somehow wins the Super Bowl. And then a trash ass number 1 receiver in Juju Smith. Like, that should not be your number 1 winning a Super Bowl. But the fact that he was, and you gave him life again in the NFL, revived his career, and he left again. So you had to restart with Sky Moore, and somehow your Chiefs still look, like they're Super Bowl contenders. So until someone knocks Patty off, I mean, even recency bias, he still makes plays where I'm like,
He does. My thing is, I didn't want. I from what I've seen, it just hasn't looked like the same Kansas City Chiefs offense. It doesn't hasn't felt as explosive, but that might have everything to do with Kroger grocery baggers they got out there running routes for 15. So
bro,
I do have him at my number two. So
you
I,
see,
I
bro, they
uh,
fucking dropped INT that was a pick six, bro. They were 4-0, and Mahomes has 9 touchdowns and 3 interceptions and at a 4-0 record, and his QBR is already top 4. So I couldn't
yeah,
imagine if the guy just catches a pass. So
a wide open pass nonetheless.
yeah, he's
Nobody
ass.
hit him or anything like that.
Yeah, he's dangerously ass, man. You gotta stay with ass guys like.
Dangerously ass.
But
But
yeah, what's your
nah, Patrick Mahomes is my number two.
okay?
For the same reason, he's still putting up good numbers for other players. They're like okay numbers for what he's shown so far, but he's got nobody out there besides Kelsey, who I mean, he's Travis Kelsey. You know, he is what he is. So, and he's like 15th in the league or something like that in tight end yards this year. So he hasn't even been balling out that much, but he did miss that game. So
Taylor Swift, bro.
Taylor, dude, she's all in
Bro,
his head, man.
it's the fucking Swifties, bro. Like,
And don't get to talk about them. They're gonna find you.
bro. I was about to say I got something for him, but I promise you I don't have nothing for it. Like I don't. She's got a call. So if y'all ever hear this, I'm not even. I actually like Taylor Swift. Actually, to be, I'm gonna stream her music when we get off. Anybody wants to see this,
Hey,
that's my girl.
saving face. I love it, man.
Yeah,
Saving
that's my girl. But who you got at number 3, dog?
it. Number three, I do have Tua so far. He's
Okay.
balling out. He's got good weapons, though. You know, but the game they put up 70, they didn't even have their number two wide receiver in Jalen Waddle. He's one of the more accurate quarterbacks. He doesn't have shit for an arm strength wise, but he's very accurate with the ball. He may be a yak merchant. He probably is a yak merchant,
He
but
definitely a
he
merchant.
definitely is a yak merchant. But I
Know
think
that.
he's got 72% completion. He leads the league in yards right now. Yak. He also
Oh,
leads the league in yards
yard.
per completion. Yak. But despite him being a yak merchant, he's got 115 quarterback rating and he's very accurate with the ball. So he at least gets the ball to these guys for them to do the rest. So far I have him at number 3.
Okay. Um, I don't disagree. So my 2 and 3 are is not well. It got one of your guys. My number 2 is a little bit off your railings, I guess. I got Lamar Jackson. I think that guy, besides one outlier game against the Colts, which they should have won. There was numerous times they could have won, and just stuff didn't go their way. But it wasn't really Lamar's fault. A lot of drop passes and tight end fumbles when they get down to the goal line, and they should, have 3 points. So there's a lot of things that happened in that game. But other than that, Lamar still got 4 passing TDs to go with 4 rushing TDs. He got 220 rushing yards, averaging 5.5 yards a carry. That's like elite rushing yards.
Yeah.
So I've seen him play, and he threw a pass against Cleveland. You know what I'm talking about? Corner.
Yes, sir.
That's when
Very underrated pass he made.
I knew Lamar was like really evolving as a player. Like he's already probably the hardest quarterback to really contain and or bring down. Really, both contain or bring down the pocket.
Yeah.
So you add on the passing that he's doing. He's completion 67% of his passes, which is he's on a career high.
Yep.
Lamar is. I think when healthy, he's always been a top 3 football player in the world. I just always have. I'm
He's
I'm
very
a,
explosive.
I'm a huge Bengal fan, but I've never always said I would take Lamar over Joe Burrow if Lamar had Joe Burrow's weapons. We just don't know what it would look like. I'm not saying I would or wouldn't, but
Right.
Lamar always got the short stick of weapons. So I think Lamar
Oh,
Flowers are 3-1. They played a defense that gave up 2 touchdowns, and Lamar got that himself on the ground. Not to mention another 230. The guy right now is my MVP, which I think he's got fifth odds, but look for that to change. The rest of the AFC North is kind of slacking down right now. AFC as a whole, so I see his MVP odds probably jump to the sky in a couple weeks. So, and then my number 3 is Josh Allen. Like you said, he's still balling 9-4, so 1,046. The turnover thing worries me, and that's why he's not over
does.
Lamar.
He's kind of always been a little bit of a turnover machine. I would have expected something like that to be fixed by now, but it may just be something. He may just be another Brett Favre type of player that don't give a fuck how many times they throw the ball to the other
And
team.
guys like Jay Cutler, you can't. I'm not going to disrespect him. Jay Cutler does not belong in the conversation.
I wasn't going to say nothing, man. I thought the
But
Jay Cutler
that
comparison was a little crazy,
Stafford does.
but
I'll say that. Stafford,
Stafford's a good
he
one.
does. Guys like them, you can't take away their greatest strength, which is their arm talent. If you
Yeah.
do that, you'll make them game managers. So you just have to live with him. Like he makes up for it. Maybe not in that same game because it's just kind of a tunnel effect where it all comes crashing down like the domino effect. But I mean, I can't fault him. The guy's been balling ever since then. So he's my number 3. Who you got for 4 before I get my 4th, man?
Number 4 so far this season, Justin Herbert. I think he's been balling out. He was turnover free the first 3 weeks. He threw one the last week, but he's completing 71% of his passes. He's got over 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns to go with only the one interception. And he's got Keenan Allen. They lost Mike Williams for the year, so they'll need some other guys to step it up big. He's been without Austin Eckler, which a lot of people think he's been a check down merchant to Eckler over the last couple of years, but they haven't even had Eckler really. So I think Herbert's been playing pretty good. He came up big a couple times so far this year. This last game, he had on his offhand a fractured finger and needed a big pickup and threw like a 50-yard bomb on like 3rd and 10 or some shit like that. So I think Herbert's my number 4 right now.
Um, I actually do agree. I have Herbert at 4th as well. I feel like proof is in the pudding. The guy's been elite probably his whole career. I think he still has the most. Well, no, Stroud I think might have just broke the record for most yards through 4 games, but Herbert had it. He still got the most passing yards as a rookie. He still got the most passing yards through 3 seasons. So Herbert's that guy. I'm intrigued to see how he'll do after Mike Williams goes down. Because if you watch the Chargers, Allen's the better route runner, but red zone wise, Williams is the bigger target. He's the guy to
Yeah,
go to.
yeah, for
Intrigued
sure.
if they can get Josh Palmer to step up, who did have, I think, the game-winning catch last game, which was Brandon Staley's just he's just a dumbass, bro. So hear me out, bro. Hear me, man.
What?
But you gotta listen to this scenario, bro. If your team is up by 7 and they're at the 2 yard, the other team's 2 yard line. No, your 2 yard, not the other team's, your 2 yard line. So you got 98 yards to go. You're not even on your right side of the field. You're on the wrong side of the field. 39, a minute and 40 left. Why do you call a go ball? I get that just hurt. Bro, made your quarterback have to make an all worldly pass to win that game when you could have just probably handed the ball off and probably picked up the first. How the Raiders defense was going. I mean, I don't know. If anything, they had no timeout, so good thing
Yeah.
they won the game. But man, it's just like, why do things like that? Like
Staley's always kind of been a dumbass. I don't know how he kept his job after that playoff collapse last year, but
yeah,
he's Chargers fans I see all the time bitching about him. So
and he's supposed
it
to be
is
a
what
D
it is.
coach. Like he got his job being a D coordinator.
Yeah,
Like how did
they
you?
should. If they want to see some bad play calling, they should watch 5 seconds of Pittsburgh Steeler football.
But my number 5, I can't leave out Jalen Hurts. I feel like he's got a. If it makes sense, he's driving the Lamborghini, but it's a stick shift, so you still have to get it to go where it wants. It's a nice team, but you still have to lead it. And I think he's got 5 TDs. He's got 3 interceptions. He got another 4 TDs on the ground, which we know. We just talked about the play, but it's still on his stats. He's got another 134 rush yards, which isn't touch. He's averaging 4 yards a carry. He's still completing 68% of his passes. So guys like Jalen Hurts, I mean, his leadership's growing. His accuracy is getting better every year, and it'd be tough to leave him off the list. He's 4-0 right now.
Yeah,
And other than I think one game, games aren't really close. Like I think he's played poor one game. I will say I don't like how he played against the week 1, the Patriots. He coughed up the ball to give them another chance. And what was the other game they just played on Thursday Night Football where he just kept on the Vikings kept on INT?
Vikings. Yeah, that game was a little bit closer than it should have been
Yeah,
for sure.
got a really strong bounce back the last 2 weeks. They've kind of been coasting week 3 when they played. Who did they trounce on week 3? Trounced on somebody. Oh, the fucking Baker Mayfield's shitty ass progressive. Yeah, so they got them out
They
the way.
they definitely have had a little bit of a favorable start schedule wise.
And when I say that, my family, I got a lot of Eagle friends and family. You just hate, I'm like, bro, it's just something about the NFC as a whole is a cakewalk. So I'm
Compared to the AFC, absolutely.
like, I'm convinced if the Titans were in the NFC, they would be favored to go to the playoffs.
Like there's really two teams in the whole NFC where it's like you know what they're made of, and that's the Eagles and the 49ers. But if you go outside of those two teams, like with the Cowboys, bro, what the fuck do you expect out of Dak Prescott? Dakota. A
Oh, speak.
playoff laughs. That's what you expect out of Dakota, man.
We never did get that fifth QB, man. We got Allen, Mahomes, Tua,
Oh,
Herbert.
mine was Hurts on 5. I had Hurts as 5 too. That tush push, he's got great weapons. Other than the first game where he was turning it over, I think
Lamar
I think
Jackson by QB right now. You know what
wow.
Lamar?
He's number 6. I
You know,
wrote down I wrote down 8 quarterbacks because I was conflicted.
brother.
Lamar is my 6. Kinfolk Kirk is my 7, if that tells you anything. But he's a Jay Jettas merchant, so that's why I left him out of my top 5.
You need to be medicated, brother. There's no way, bro. Do you know what Lamar Jackson would do in the Miami? Like, bro, if they had Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, the two fastest running backs in the league, and Lamar Jackson at quarterback, 70 points wouldn't even have been scored. It would have been 100. I promise you. It would have put up, bro. If you think they track meet teams now, bro, respectfully,
Lamar can't throw as accurately as Tua.
Tua can't throw as far as Lamar. So I mean, it's like, and that pass from Mark
Josh
Andrews,
Allen can throw the ball 95 yards. That don't mean he's going to hit anybody, but the camera guy.
that's still a. Now you're conflicting because that was your number one QB, and now he can't hit a. You're conflicting now.
I'm comparing throwing far to throwing it accurately. Just
Nah,
because you throw it far don't mean you're going to be on the mark. Lamar is one of the guys who can throw it far, but he's not the most accurate quarterback when he does throw it that far.
this year he
He's
took
not.
crazy strides, like in accuracy. Like we were just talking
He
about,
has he he has taken steps forward, but he's in year what, 5 now? 4, 5,
probably
6?
7 maybe.
Bro, bro's been in the league for almost a decade, and he's just now taking strides with accuracy.
Bro, relax on my man's Lamar, bro. You got two in there, bro. Come
Man,
on, bro.
fuck the Ravens.
It's gotta be. I'm about to say it's gotta be a Ravens hate, man. But
Nah, he's my number 6, man. I don't think that's anything crazy.
what's the
Hurts just played in the Super Bowl.
this question's gonna be obvious. I think we probably share the same answer. But what division do you think brings out the most playoff teams in the AFC?
Uh, I want to lean towards the North, but it depends on how the Browns really bounce back from being without Nick Chubb, how Joe Burrow bounces back from his calf muscle, and if the Steelers keep Matt Canada and if Kenny Pickett looks like a bum for the rest of the season. So if
Honestly,
all of those things go the opposite way, then it very well could be one team from the AFC North. But if Burrow bounces back to who he is and the Browns are okay, then it could be 3 teams. But the AFC East is an interesting division too. So I'm going to say the North.
I look at the around the AFC, and I got two teams from each division off rip. But with the new format coming in to play last 2 or 3 years with seven, it's just hard for me to pick three. Like when you look at, you got the Dolphins, Bills too, and then you look at the Jags and maybe the Texans and Colts. Like Texans and Colts are probably fighting for that number two spot.
I will say that division right now, all 4 teams are at 500. So I don't expect that one to hold, but all of them are 2-2 right now in the AFC South.
And playing each other, but it'll fizzle out. I promise you, it'll fizzle out. But
Oh, for sure. They got 2 rookie quarterbacks down there.
and then in the West, I got the Chargers and the Chiefs, and in the North, I don't know. I like Cleveland. Their record isn't not record. Their schedule isn't too bad. Like they can easily rip off 9 to 10 wins, and they go
Yeah.
into a this week. So Watson just had a shoulder injury that was questionable, so he could have went. But I feel like they looked at it like it's a bye week, and we'll rest him. So he's got 2 weeks coming off for rest, so they'll get
Their
healthy.
biggest thing is going to be Nick Chubb because that offense and the scheme and everything was built so heavily around Nick Chubb's ability to get 5, 6 yards a carry. And
Yeah,
without that big piece, it's going to be interesting to see how, especially if Deshaun Watson's banged up at all, to see how they kind of bounce back. They'll have a bye week to kind of get healthy, but it's going to be interesting. I think that defense is crazy. Jim Schwartz coming in and really turning the Cleveland Browns into a stout top 5, top 3 defense in the league. So if they can rely on that defense and their offense be okay, then they can for sure sneak out 9, 10 wins.
and the comment about the Bengals, they only lose 4 more games this season, max. We're 1-3 now. You're hearing it here first. The Bengals will not lose more than 7 games this season.
What if they shut Burrow down?
Well, the way Burrow's talking, and I quote, "This is the best I felt all season before playing physically today." And I quote, Joe Burrow said this. He was seen sprinting down the sideline, which he hasn't even been active to practice. He's only been throwing, so he's been limited. He was a full time practice participant for the first time in about 2.5 weeks. So I kind of might agree with the statement, just looking at the status. I'm not. We're probably gonna have to see it on the field, obviously, but to his mouth, pause. Going off his word, he said this is as healthy as he's been. So I have no reason to say he's lying, I guess. So I'm going to take it as his word. So if that's true, I expect Cincy to maybe squeak out a win this week. Because the offense is still kind of weird. We don't really have an identity right now. We'll probably squeak it out, maybe
Who is
20
it?
the Cardinals in Arizona. So I think Arizona will be competitive too because they're not a bad.
Arizona's played. They've outplayed their expectations already this year. I feel like a lot of people, myself included, thought that they were a 3 or 4 win team max, but so
Bro,
far they've played their asses off, and they've
Josh Dobbs was like putting up drywall in like June, and the like no cap, and the
yeah,
Cardinals like and like somehow he's played his way into being like a QB2 anywhere in the league now. Like
yeah, he's definitely solidified himself as like a solid backup guy. And right now for Kyler Murray, he's stepping in. And I mean, he's balling out for his
oh, he,
standards.
he's definitely
He's balling out right now. I bet he's getting. I don't even know, man. They didn't even have his jersey in the team store.
yeah.
So now that I mean, they do now, but like he's balling out. Nobody expected that, myself included. So that team's playing harder than I think anybody thought. But I don't know. I think the Bengals will win. Don't they have Seattle next after that, and then the
Yeah.
bye?
Then you have Seattle at home, and then you go into a bye week. So I mean, they were 2-3 last season. And they were 4-4 going into the bye week last season. So something tells me they can potentially be 3-3. Potentially, like I said, I feel like both of these games are going to be like chippy games. Like I said, Tennessee just out physical Cincinnati. So and then it came to the standpoint where Joe Burrow couldn't move at all. So
Yeah,
I don't really understand what our recipe would be. I just know every time I've Cincinnati Bengals, they've in the Burrow era, they've literally proved me wrong every time. They lost 4 out of 5 starters the game before they played the Buffalo Bills. So I'm thinking they're going into Buffalo and they're just going to get killed, and Joe Burrow just quick games it out. So I'm not ready to write off Cincinnati yet. I'm really not.
I like that answer for sure. They're definitely a team to look out for. And the AFC North historically has always been the
The Dom
division. It's sending 2, 3 teams every trip.
when there were
So
6 teams, they were sending 3 teams.
yeah, yeah. Well, the seventh team, I wouldn't be surprised if one of these years in the future, all 4 teams from this AFC North goes. Maybe
Yeah,
not this year. I don't like what I see out of the Steelers' offense at all. I
yeah.
don't want to watch that in a playoff game. 17 games is enough. I don't need to see it for an 18th.
Do you
So I
want
don't know if they'll go, but
because 30-6 was kind of. I was watching kind of on Red Zone. I got the Bengals on the full screen, and then I got Red Zone in the corner, so I couldn't really watch the whole thing. But I'm like watching Nico Collins, like like did a little CJ Stroud dance, and I'm like, oh, they're turning up, like.
bro, they were fucking us up. Patrick Peterson doesn't need to play football anymore. At least not on the outside. He needs to move to the slot if he's going to see any. If he's going to have a hat, he needs to be in the slot. Um,
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
Kenny Pickett spinning out of clean pockets. That's an interesting one. He spins out of clean pockets and fucks his knee up. Good
Fourth and
job.
don't forget
Fourth
that.
and 1 out of the shotgun. What are we doing there? We called a timeout. I'm not even trying to. Never mind. I'm not even trying to really get into all of that.
So
I'm
yeah,
not, man.
so we'll move to the next question, man. Who's the most player?
Impactful defensive player. I went a different route here because you think impactful defensive players. You think of the Micah Parsons, the T.J. Watts, the Myles Garrett. I went with a very slept on. He's a rookie. He's playing a very big role in probably the best run defense in the league. The Eagles, Jordan Davis, defensive tackle. He
Mm,
faces the highest double team rate in the league. He gets double teamed on about 55% of his snaps as a rookie. And he
yeah.
has a run stop win rate of 53%. So he's getting double teamed at over 50%, and he's winning over 50% of his run stop plays. I think that's playing a huge factor. He was a dog at Georgia, and he's proven to be just as much of a dog in the league, stopping that middle, that Eagles defense on that run D. But other than him, I'm gonna have to say Micah Parsons. That dude's a demon. But I want something different. I want Jordan Davis.
Threw me off. I was definitely going to hear T.J. Watt.
Nah, I wanted to switch it up, man. I can't say T.J. Watt for everything. It's
Well,
the obvious answer, but you know.
considering the fact that he's the only reason why you have one win, I mean,
Oh yeah, oh yeah. He's the reason we win a lot of our games that we probably shouldn't win sometimes.
but I'm gonna go. I was stuck in between because I still think overall Aaron Donald might be the best player at his position in football. But
Mm-hmm.
my Eric's impact, I've never seen two tight ends like follow someone to a formation and just like and then his compliment or his statement was, "I can do this all day," literally. Quote. So he's just going back and forth, and they have to call timeout. So it's kind of cool. And every play, he's getting chipped. Like I've even seen elite receivers. If there's not a tight end on the side of formation he's on, an elite receiver will come in, put his splits in a lot closer to the line, and even try to give him a chip. On top of the running back always in the backfield. He'll
Oh
never
yeah,
not an inning without a running back.
he's
So
like an elite receiver. He's always going to see safety help, except he's on the defensive side. He's always going to see.
and
He's going to get his main guy, and he's either going to get a second offensive lineman coming in to help, or he's going to get a shoulder check from somebody somewhere. So he's definitely one of those guys. He's probably due for a Defensive Player of the Year award at some point in his career. I don't know if it's going to be this year, but he's definitely going to win at least one of them, I feel like.
a random stat that I seen today, your favorite PFF. So Jadavian Clowney actually leads the league in pressures this year, QB pressures. It's a
Really?
random stat, but interesting because he was
It
kind of
is.
just, I guess, used as washed up.
Who's
For
he
a really
play for now?
Baltimore.
I thought so. I thought he was still in the North. I knew he had some success in Cleveland playing on the other side of Myles Garrett. So I felt like he was still in the North.
Yeah, I was kind of sick. The Bengals didn't make a move for him. I feel like there was a time where we needed another pass rusher, but Trey Hendrickson's he's holding it down. He's holding it down. He'll be another Pro Bowl type player, maybe All
Oh yeah,
Pro. He can keep having type of games he had against the Rams at least.
right.
But give me two winners from this weekend, man. We might have some gambling people in here, man. Give me two money lines, man.
Money lines, man. All right. Let me think. I know one. The Ravens, take the Ravens money line because they play the Steelers. So take the Ravens money line. Uh,
I don't like
because
it's in Pittsburgh, isn't it?
it is. That don't fucking matter. Listen, when we roll Kenny Pickett out onto the field wearing a goddamn knee brace this weekend, brother, we might lose by 20. I ain't even kidding you, brother. Our defense is on the field 75-80% of every fucking game, it feels like. They get thrashed. That's exactly what happened against Houston. Our first 6 possessions, we didn't even get into their territory until the third. I don't actually think we ran a single play in their territory, to be honest. Maybe the 2 field goals we got. That was it. I think we was in their territory for the first time late third quarter. If we got
Wow.
some more of that bullshit, we might lose. Take Ravens minus 13.5, and I'm so dead ass about that. Ravens minus 13.5.
Mm. Hey, you hear that better? Good with that one.
Hey man, 13.5 is not even a stretch.
I think
Bills Jaguars, I like that game a lot. Mainly because I love the overseas games. And those
wait,
teams tend.
The who? The Jags?
Bills and Jags. Yeah, I like that game.
Didn't Jacksonville just didn't they
Yeah,
just play last?
they're in London 2 weeks in a row.
Bro, who makes their schedule, bro? They've had like
in
one
the
problem game.
and the
Like,
most fucked up part is I don't think they come back home for shit like that. Or I think they do come back home for shit like that. So they
oh,
are in London, they play their game, they go home, and then they fly back to London. I don't know if they stay there the whole week or not, but I like that game a lot. I think the Jags, if you don't follow football, if you're in London and you only follow the NFL when it comes there, you probably think the Jags are like the '07 Patriots.
they
So
have
they have to be everybody's favorite team out there, I imagine. So they got fans pulling for them. I think the Jags might squeak one out, or at least keep it within a possession. So I think taking +6.5 for Jaguars is probably a good move.
I like that. My two picks. I like I like the 49ers. I'm gonna go with San Fran money line. Um,
They
I
play the
mean,
Cowboys
I feel like they've always
minus
found.
10.5. My they're beating Dakota by at least 11, brother.
Hey man, Dakota really does give them the game every time. So I'm gonna go with San Fran, and mm, I'm really iffy about the who's Philly got this week.
Philly's got. Let me see real quick. Oh, they got the Rams.
Yeah, I thought so. I thought it was the Seahawks, but it was the Rams. So I'm gonna take Philly money line. They should go 5-0.
They should. That'll
Well,
be a
no.
good game. I think the spread right now is Philly minus 4.5, so that'll be a good one for sure.
Oh, I don't know if you wanted a money line, I would lean towards Philly. But me being a betting man, if I'm using any type of because I'm not about to give no betting app promotion. But if I'm using any betting app, I would go to the alternative spread and probably take the Rams with +8.5. I think it's a one possession game, so
Yeah, for
Rams
sure.
have and go. Take that money line, man. Let's make some
Yes,
money.
sir.
But yeah, man, I think that wraps it up for Red Zone Rants, man. I'm Ant.
I'm Dev.
It's a great episode 5, man. Until next time, y'all.
Yes, sir.